Hi guys, welcome to my study compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper Math P2 Variant 2 October-November 2018. Let's get started. Write 23,000 in standard form. To write this number in standard form, remove the decimal point from the end of the number to a position after the first non-zero digit, which is 2. So we have 2.3. Since we moved the decimal point 4 units to the left, we multiply 2.3 by 10 raised to the power 4. The diagram shows a circle center O. AB and DE are chords of the circle. M is the midpoint of AB and N is the midpoint of DE. AB equals DE equals 9 centimeters and OM equals 5 centimeters. Find ON. If two chords in a circle have the same length, then it means they are equidistant from the center. In this case, we know that chords AB and DE are equal in length. So if OM is 5 centimeters, then ON is also 5 centimeters. Calculate 0.125 raised to the power negative 2 over 3. When we type this into the calculator, we get 4. Expand 2x times 3 minus x squared. To expand the brackets, 2x multiplies each term in the brackets. So 2x times 3 is 6x and 2x times negative x squared is negative 2x cubed. Without using a calculator, work out 1 over 15 plus 2 over 5. Write down all the steps of your working and give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. The LCM of 15 and 5 is 15. For 1 over 15, since we multiplied 15 by 1 to get the LCM, which is 15, we also need to multiply 1 by 1, which is 1. For 2 over 5, since we multiplied 5 by 3 to get 15, we also need to multiply 2 by 3, which is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7, so we have 7 over 15. Solve 7m minus 2 is greater than and equal to 19. When we add 2 to both sides, this is what we have. When we divide both sides by 7, we get m is greater than or equal to 3. C is a set containing elements x such that x is an integer and x is greater than 5 and less than 12. D is equal to 510. Put a ring around the correct statement from the list below. First, let's list out the elements of set C. Now let's look at the options. The first option is out because D is not a null set. It contains two elements, 5 and 10. The third option is also out because set D does not contain 6. The fourth option is also out because if D is a subset of C, then C must contain 5 and 10. However, C does not include 5. The second option is correct because there is only one element common to C and D, and that is 10. Find the number of elements in C union D. When we map sets C and D onto a Venn diagram, we see that the number of elements in C union D are 7 in total. Factorize xy plus 5y plus 2x plus 10. For the first two terms, when we factor out y, we are left with x plus 5. And for the final two terms, when we factor out 2, we are left with x plus 5. This can be rewritten as x plus 5 times y plus 2. There are 30,000 lions in Africa. The number of lions in Africa decreases exponentially by 2% each year. Find the number of lions in Africa after 6 years. Give your answer correct to the nearest 100. In this case, we need to apply the compound or exponential formula. Since we are dealing with a decrease, we bring a minus here. Big A represents the number of lions at the end of 6 years, which is what we are finding. Small a represents the initial number of lions, which is 30,000. R is the annual rate, which is 2%, and T is the time duration, which is 6 years. When we type this into the calculator, this is what we have. We need to round this value to the nearest 100. So we look at the number in the hundredths position, which is 5. The number after 5, which is 7, is greater than 5. So we add 1 to 5, giving us 6. The numbers after 5 become 0. So we have 26,600 rounded to the nearest 100. Find the midpoint of AB, where A equals WR and B equals 3WT. Give your answer in its simplest form in terms of WR and T. In this case, we need to apply the midpoint formula. So for the x-coordinate of the midpoint, we have W plus 3W divided by 2, which simplifies to 2W. And for the y-coordinate of the midpoint, we have R plus T over 2. An equilateral triangle has side length 12 centimeters correct to the nearest centimeter. Find the lower bound and the upper bound of the perimeter of the triangle. To correct the length to the nearest centimeter, we have 12 centimeters. Then we bring in plus and minus 1 centimeter and divide 1 centimeter by 2. The formula for the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 3 times L. So the lower bound of the perimeter would be 3 times the lower bound of L, which is 12 minus 1 over 2 centimeters, which is equal to 34.5 centimeters. And the upper bound of the perimeter would be 3 times the upper bound of L, which is 12 plus 1 over 2 centimeters, which is equal to 37.5 centimeters. X is an obtuse angle and sine x equals 0.43. Find the value of x. We've been given that sine x equals 0.43. So to get x, we take sine inverse of 0.43, which is equal to 25.5 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. This angle is less than 90 degrees, so it's not an obtuse angle. To get the obtuse angle of x, we simply subtract 25.5 degrees from 180 degrees, which is equal to 154.5 degrees. These are the first 5 terms of a sequence. Find an expression for the nth term of this sequence. When we look at the sequence, we see that there is a constant difference of 6 between the terms. Here is the formula for finding the nth term of a sequence with a constant difference. A1 is the first term of the sequence, which is -4. D is the common difference, which is 6. When we expand the brackets, 6 times n is 6n, and 6 times -1 is -6. -4 minus 6 is -10, so we have 6n minus 10. By shading the unwanted regions of the grid, find and label the region R that satisfies the following 4 inequalities. First, we need to identify the equations for each of the lines on the grid. Y equals 4 minus x, x equals 2, x equals 3, and y equals 2x plus 1. For this inequality, the wanted region is below the line x equals 3, so we shade the region above or to the right of the line. For this inequality, the wanted region is above the line x equals 2, so we shade the region below or to the left of the line. For this inequality, the wanted region is below the line y equals 2x plus 1, so we shade the region above the line. For this inequality, The wanted region is above the line y equals 4 minus x, so we shade the region below the line. After shading all the unwanted regions, the region left unshaded satisfies all the inequalities, so we label this region as R. Find 3m. To get 3m, we multiply each of the elements in matrix M by 3. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 15, negative 3, negative 9, 6. Find the inverse of matrix M. The inverse of matrix M is equal to 1 over the determinant of matrix M, which we get by subtracting the product of the minor diagonal, which is negative 3 times negative 1, from the product of the major diagonal, which is 5 times 2, multiplied by this matrix, which we get by swapping the elements in the major diagonal and negating the elements in the minor diagonal. 5 times 2 minus negative 3 times negative 1 is 7. So we have 1 over 7 times 2135. X squared minus 12x plus a equals x plus b all squared. Find the value of a and the value of b. When we expand x plus b squared, we get x squared plus 2bx plus b squared. The expression on the left-hand side must be equal to the expression on the right-hand side. So the coefficients of the x terms on both sides must be equal. This means 2b equals negative 12. When we divide both sides by 2, we get b equals negative 6. The constants on both sides must also be equal. So a equals b squared. We found b to be negative 6. So a equals negative 6 squared, which is equal to 36. The diagram shows the points C with coordinates negative 1, 2 and D with coordinates 9, 7. Find the equation of the line perpendicular to CD that passes through the point 1, 3. Give your answer in the form y equals mx plus c. All we need to do is find the values of m and c and plug in these values into y equals mx plus c. To get the gradient of line CD, we apply the gradient formula. This gives us 2 minus 7 divided by negative 1 minus 9, which is equal to 0.5. The product of the gradient of the perpendicular line and 0.5 must be equal to negative 1. This gives us the gradient of the perpendicular line as negative 2. To get the value of C, we plug in negative 2 and the coordinates of 1, 3 into y equals mx plus c. This gives us 3 equals negative 2 times 1 plus c. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. When we add 2 to both sides, we get c equals 5. So we have y equals negative 2x plus 5. 120 students choose what they want to do when they leave school. Their choices are shown in the table. Complete the pie chart to show this information. Label each sector clearly. Here is the formula to calculate sector angle for each category. For the university students, we have 57 over 120 times 360 degrees, which is equal to 171 degrees. For the training category, we have 45 over 120 times 360 degrees, which is equal to 135 degrees. For the work category, we have 18 over 120 times 360 degrees, which is equal to 54 degrees. Using a protractor, we measure an angle of 171 degrees for the university category. Then we measure an angle of 135 degrees for the training category. The remaining angle, which is 54 degrees, is for the work category. The diagram shows a pentagon ABCDE. Using a straight edge and compasses only, construct the bisector of angle BCD. Using a pair of compasses, we stand at point C and inscribe an arc for angle BCD. Then, standing at this point, we open the compass to a wider width and inscribe an arc. Using the same compass width, we stand at this point and inscribe another arc. Using a ruler, we draw a straight line from point C, passing through the intersection of the arcs. Draw the locus of the points inside the pentagon that are 3 cm from E. First, we measure the width of the compass to be 3 cm. Then we stand at point E and inscribe an arc inside the pentagon. Shade the region inside the pentagon that is less than 3 cm from E and nearer to DC than to BC. This region has been shaded on the diagram. Make M the subject of the formula. X equals 3m over 2 minus m. When we multiply both sides by 2 minus m, this is what we have. When we expand the brackets, x times 2 is 2x. X times negative m is negative mx. We want to make m the subject, so we move the m terms to one side of the equation. When we factor out m, we are left with 3 plus x. When we divide both sides by 3 plus x, we have m equals 2x over 3 plus x. The diagram shows an equilateral triangle ABC with sides of length 10 centimeters. AMN is a sector of a circle center A. M is the midpoint of AC. Work out the area of the shaded region. The area of the shaded region is equal to the area of triangle ABC minus the area of sector AMN. Triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle, so all its sides have the same length, which is 10 centimeters. In addition, each of the angles in the triangle is 60 degrees. M is the midpoint of AC, which makes AM 5 centimeters. The area of the triangle can be found using the formula half AB sine C, where A and B are any two sides of the triangle, which in this case each are 10 centimeters, and C is the angle between the two sides, which is 60 degrees. The area of the sector can be found using the formula theta over 360 degrees times pi r squared, where theta is 60 degrees and the radius r is 5 centimeters. When we type this into the calculator, we get 30.2 centimeters squared, rounded to 3 significant figures. The diagram shows a cuboid with dimensions 5.5 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and 16.2 centimeters. Calculate the angle between the line AB and the horizontal base of the cuboid. On the diagram, we've labeled the angle between AB and the base as alpha. To get alpha, we apply SOHCAHTOA. This gives us tan alpha equals 8 centimeters divided by AC. We need to find AC. We can get AC by applying the Pythagoras theorem to the right-angled triangle ADC. This gives us AC squared equals AD squared plus DC squared. AD is 16.2 centimeters and DC is 5.5 centimeters. When we make AC the subject and plug in these values, this is what we get, which is equal to 17.108 centimeters. So now, when we make alpha the subject and plug in the value of AC, this is what we have. When we type this into the calculator, we get 25.1 degrees, rounded to 1 decimal place. Write 56 as a product of its prime factors. 56 can be written as 2 times 28. 2 is a prime number, so we circle it. 28 can be written as 4 times 7. 7 is a prime number, so we circle it. 4 can be written as 2 times 2. 2 is a prime number, so we circle both. So now we have 56 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. We can leave the final answer as this, or we can rewrite it as 2 cubed times 7. Find the lowest common multiple of 56 and 42. First, we need to write 56 and 42 as a product of their prime factors. Then we map their prime factors onto a Venn diagram. The LCM is the product of the elements in the Venn diagram, which is equal to 168. The time T minutes 80 students spent completing their homework is recorded. The cumulative frequency diagram shows the results. Use the cumulative frequency diagram to find an estimate of the median. To get the median, we map half of 80, which is 40, on the diagram. This gives us the median to be 25 minutes. Find an estimate of the interquartile range. The interquartile range is equal to the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. To get the upper quartile, we map 3/4 of 80, which is 60, on the diagram. This gives us 28 minutes. To get the lower quartile, we map 1/4 of 80, which is 20, on the diagram. This gives us the lower quartile to be 16 minutes. 28 minus 16 is equal to 12. Find an estimate of the number of students who spend more than 40 minutes completing their homework. When we map 40 minutes onto the graph, we get 75, which represents the number of students who spent 40 minutes or less to complete their homework. So to get the number of students who spent more than 40 minutes, we subtract 75 from the total number of students, which is 80. This gives us 5. Find g of f of x. To get g of f of x, we replace x in g of x with f of x. This gives us 5x cubed plus 2. Find g inverse of x. First, we replace g of x with x and replace x with y. When we make y the subject, this is what we have. This expression we have for y is the same as g inverse of x. So g inverse of x is also equal to x minus 2 over 5. h of x equals ax squared plus 1. Find the value of a when h of negative 2 equals 21. To get h of negative 2, we replace x in h of x with negative 2. This gives us a times negative 2 squared plus 1, which is equal to 21. Negative 2 all squared is 4. When we subtract 1 from both sides, we have 4a equals 20. And when we divide both sides by 4, we have a equals 5. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.